John Yang, thank you so much for your reporting on this story, and joining us now is former federal prosecutor Caleb Mason. And Caleb, just help us understand here. Do these new allegations have any impact at all on the government case against Hastert?
No, I don't think so. According to the indictment, the FBI was interested primarily in figuring out what these transactions were doing, what they were for. One of the purposes for contacting Hastert that is set forth in the indictment was to determine if Hastert was the victim of a crime, such as an extortion attempt or kidnapping with somebody demanding ransom. And that's why they initially went to talk to him. What he is alleged to have done, as your reporter said, is to have structured his withdrawals from the bank to avoid the $10,000 reporting threshold, and to have lied to the FBI about what he was doing with the money. And those are crimes chargeable and provable as such, regardless of what he was doing with the money. I think it's, it certainly is going to be relevant to proving these offenses if he was trying to cover up some underlying criminal activity from his past.
Yeah, Caleb, I think a lot of people understand why, at the time, this young boy didn't come out to talk to anybody. I mean, it's hard enough today for victims, especially at such a young age, to come out. And as his sister said, he didn't think anyone would believe him. But let's just say that he had come out 40 years ago. He did talk to authorities. He did try talking to teachers at the school. Would he have been listened to? Would he have been taken seriously?
I think given the climate in this country in the early to mid-'70s with respect to sexual assaults by authority figures and with respect to sexual orientation generally, I think the climate was much less receptive to such allegations. Keep in mind that this is a period before the country had learned all that we now know about the the long histories of sexual abuse within institutions such as the the Boy Scouts or the various churches. And I think it's certainly credible that a person would just not want to subject himself to the kind of public humiliation and disbelief and ridicule, especially when bringing an allegation against somebody who was, I think, really a kind of renowned local figure, the way Hastert was at that time.
Yeah, I think that's well put, and is an important piece of this story and why these types of stories matter to so many people around the nation, Caleb. I want to play more from the ABC News interview, including this, the sister here regarding the alleged misconduct, speaking about how long it took and her interactions with the FBI. Take a listen.
Then 2 weeks ago, after she says she had given up hope that her effort to expose Hastert would ever succeed, the FBI showed up at her door to ask her about her big brother Steve and tell her Dennis Hastert was about to be indicted on federal criminal charges.
There are no words to describe what it felt like to, it was just like, Stevie, we've done it. It's gonna happen. We got him.
A knock at the door from the FBI. Walk us through how the authorities do an investigation like this, which you were telling us might start with a different theory and ended with what we're seeing in this indictment.
That's right. My guess is that there were two separate dots here that ultimately got connected. And you had the one dot, which was apparently a history of reports from the family of at least one alleged victim and potentially others that had been made to various law enforcement officials and probably were known to at least one federal law enforcement agency, probably the FBI. They would be the agency that would be responsible for looking into allegations against senior elected officials. And then you had the second dot, which was the report actually by Mr. Hastert's bank made to the Justice Department and banking authorities regarding these large withdrawals. He was initially making cash withdrawals of $50,000 and more. When the bank called him in to ask him about those withdrawals, he immediately stopped making such large withdrawals and began making withdrawals just under $10,000. So anytime that happens, that is going to perk up the ears of law enforcement, because that's what we call structuring. It's an attempt to evade the reporting requirements so nobody knows what you're doing with the cash. And I think at some point, somebody connected these two dots,
Yeah.
right? You had agents asking, why is Hastert doing this? And you look a little bit deeper and you find out, oh my goodness, there are also allegations of old sexual abuse claims, and maybe these two are connected. And at some point, someone made that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb Mason, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And up next, the cycle turns to sports on a big weekend.